If your community is perceived as unsafe, you're not going to go out and be physically active. It's just a fact. The Preventing Violence, Healthy Eating, Active Living project explores the obesity epidemic from the standpoint of preventing violence, which prevents physical activity opportunities. We decided to focus on Western Chula Vista, which is a catchment area of 50 to 80,000 residents. Any particular area of Western Chula Vista could be upwards of 75%, 80% Latino. And so we're also working with a focus on underserved populations, low socioeconomic populations, and the community is essentially bifurcated. To the east is a higher socioeconomic bracket of residents, and to the west, where we're situated and focused, there's an inequity in resources.
In 2009, we had what we called the Chronic Disease Agenda, which tackled some of the chronic diseases that were affecting our community residents. And so within that agenda, it was shown that safety was a huge component. And so from that part, it was like, okay, this is an opportunity. When Dana came along with HEAL, this is an opportunity for us to really get involved and to really get into the safety component of it. So we jumped on board, and from that, since then, the county has several other initiatives that are dealing with safety specifically. So we felt that it was a perfect match. We felt that it was something that we were already working on and that we were going to be working towards more in the future. So it was just a perfect opportunity for us to get involved.
What's really great about some of the work that they're doing is they're engaging youth and young people and getting them engaged in the work they're doing, so we can not only look at the root causes of things, but we can get young people engaged who are going to be our leaders for tomorrow.
One or two of the requirements of being a pilot project with Preventing Violence, Healthy Eating, Active Living was to have youth at the table, was to have the county public health department at the table, to have an obesity prevention partner, which we served in that role, and then a violence prevention partner, which was Institute for Public Strategies. And then we had other partners that were also invested in the common goals that we shared to improve health and quality of life, physical activity promotion in Chula Vista, healthy food access in Chula Vista. So our partners came in from Network for a Healthy California and also Walk San Diego.
I was particularly interested in this project because you can't have a safe and vibrant community when there's that perception of fear or the presence of violence and crime. So taking a look at that and really hammering down into what creates that perception, what creates that violence and crime, and taking a look at how we could actually approach and change the environment to include CEPTED principles, to include a safer pedestrian environment, bicycle environment, community environment.
This is the type of work that CHIP does in community. We have a long history of projects related to community empowerment, community participation, youth participation, and so this was just a natural extension of the work that we do to empower young people and adults in high-need communities to address their own public health issues and concerns.
CEPTED, which is the acronym for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design, is a concept that was actually generated here in the United States. Jane Jacobs, an architect, came up with a concept, and it's looking at land use and design and how you can create a community or develop an area in a way that it actually deters crime.
CEPTED to CHIP is really an intermediate step to identifying safety issues at a specific site and then helping people that participate in our process realize more about how the environment in a broader scale influences or undermines people's ability to have a healthy life and a good quality of life.
You're looking at creating a place where people come out and meet, those eyes on the street. That way you have the social cohesion that a community really thrives on versus a community that's isolated, no one's out there, and that breeds a lot of crime and graffiti and gangs. So I think CEPTED is very instrumental, not just in new development, but also in areas where you have a lot of these problems going on.
Okay, these go first, okay? Because the reds are gonna fade, and since it's in a kind of in a shady little area, we'll go with the red. So you're gonna lay these two colors first, and then we're gonna go with some reds on top of this, so we have a darker base in the bottom. Okay, move some of that red on this side over here.
Obviously, there's a concern around graffiti. It's all throughout the report. And most of that graffiti was on walls and utility boxes. So why not bring public art, community art, to the utility boxes, not only to deter graffiti, but also to make the Western Chula Vista environment a more interactive place, a more interesting place.
We're using a technique here with stencil paper, frisket, and it's a way of applying it to the actual painting application. It creates a cohesive look. We're taking pre-Columbian design symbols that are strong and powerful and recognizable to the community at large in this particular area. And so the student has the responsibility of selecting these images, going through the process of making the stencil, and then from that, the stencils would be used in the utility box to be a bold statement, something strong, with color in the background.
When we go out there and we paint these utility boxes, it will be like part of ourselves out there. So it will be like our community, it's part of ours.
Ultimately, what we want is to create environments where youth can be out doing positive things, where they can really feel that the community is their community. There's a concept called place attachment. And really, that's what you want with residents, and especially youth in a community. If they're attached to the place, if they're connected, they're going to really contribute to that community, to that neighborhood in a positive way.
By bringing the community out to do the boxes and to be a part of that, it just creates this ownership and this excitement to be part of a community and involved in a community, and just brings it all together. So I'm really excited to incorporate all these different aspects into something that's going to end up really great.
In order for us to push our work to the next level, we had to really dig deep into what the data was telling us. The data sets that we received were hotspots maps, and the hotspots maps were for 2007, 2008, and 2009. And the data that we were given not only covered general disorder in Western Chula Vista, but also traffic safety problems and also violence that occurred in target areas of Western Chula Vista. And so in identifying our 6 sites, we were able to really key in on and be 100% confident, and this is why we chose the area around St. Regis Apartments. This is why we chose the 3 trolley stations. This is why we chose the 2 parks, Lauterbach Park and Harborside Park. There were several simple but significant steps which brought us to the point of developing the report, which was representative of the people and the organizations that participated. Our first step, as identified by my colleague Tanya, was to take them out raw to each site and have them just take pictures of what concerned them.
The pictures were really, this was through the eyes of the young people that took the pictures, and we were amazed. We had about 500 pictures that we had to go through. And once we looked at, we saw the pattern, we saw what they were looking at, we brought them back and had them provide solutions after the SEPTA training.
And so going through all 6 sites, all the photos from all 6 sites provided us the opportunity to collect a second round of input that was extremely insightful and complete in terms of facilitating the community residents, namely the youth, going from problem identification to solution based on the principles of walkability and crime prevention through environmental design. And so with those 2 rounds of input and the photos taken, we were able to go site by site in identifying recommendations, not only for the site, but also the surrounding environment. We finally had that environmental focused discussion around the sites that we focused on. And that led to the development of the presentation and the Chula Vista Preventing Violence, Healthy Eating, Active Living report.
They came out with a great critical analysis of some of the issues in the areas that they were looking into, and better still, came up with some possible ways of helping to resolve the issues. And since that time, Dana and his crew have been working really steadfastly on all those sorts of issues, even to this day, and it's been a huge benefit for these areas. There's through beautification measures, through recommendations to city staff about things that we could do as a city physically to make lasting changes in some of our problem areas. It's been a great impact.
So much happened from the sharing, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that, you know, our organization and the other supportive organizations were really there as facilitators, and we allowed the community voice to shine. The youth did a majority of the presentations with me, and if they didn't do the presentations with me, they were there present to add to the dialogue about the solutions that should occur, what they experience and what they have seen as residents in Chula Vista that have, you know, since they were born, frequented these parks, walked around St. Regis Apartments, traveled to San Diego State University by trolley.
They took a very key leadership role as far as like the actual assessments of the trolley stations, the parks. And so it was really good to work with them and to see them, because they were able to bring that youth voice that we know as a county that we don't have. So being able to hear them to talk about, okay, this is what we see as a threat, this is what we see as an asset for this park, or this is what we see as needed for this park. It was exciting. I was happy to be a part. I mean, we were in the background, but it was good to see them really take leadership and say, this is what I want for my communities.
If you involve youth from the beginning, even the assessment, looking at what's happening in the community, they begin to take ownership. There's a sense of awareness that takes place. And then the solutions come from them.
The youth, I think, has a really interesting perspective, and I think that has a lot of power in the community. And I don't think a lot of kids and youth in general know that they have a voice. And so with the assessment, we kind of were learning, you know, how to use our voice and where we can put it so that it's heard and where it can make a difference.
I have learned the importance of working with the community, working together. How we can't really do a change when it's only one person, but when there's a lot of people getting together with one common cause, like, we can actually make a change.
I think it was their impact, their involvement, the way that they owned and spoke to the issues at each of our opportunities to share, which really made the difference and caused departments and MTS and Chula Vista Police Department and redevelopment to really loop back with, like, okay, this is real. Thank you so much for your input, and we're going to show you what changed.
One of the things that we've been very much focused on is our own redevelopment of our South Bay stations as part of an overall improvement project for our trolley system. And so we're redesigning our platforms to be more open, to really make it a better waiting environment, and to really upgrade the experience for those who want to use transit. And I think that the efforts that CHIP pointed out in their report, what they were seeing was that they do want to improve the areas even around the stations. In the transit world, we always look at the walk to a transit service as very important, whether it's the walk or the bike or the commute by vehicle. That says a lot as to whether or not that's going to be a useful service for the very communities that are surrounding that station.
This park is being visited by the residents, and before it used to be lots of homeless people, and right now you could see that the basketball court is always so busy during the afternoon, all through the day. It's a great example of what could be done in Chula Vista if the community wanted to do something. Something is possible.
I think the results of it were more empowering than we expected, because, you know, first we were just filling out these papers like, oh, what do we see, what don't we like? And then when we see the pictures, when we see everything put together, when we're presenting it in front of adults who are just in awe by the results, it's really, really empowering, and you know, it gives us, like I realized, you know, we have a lot more to do here than we thought. And we are going to take this project a lot further than we thought was just these papers and, you know, putting a slideshow together. It's definitely a bigger project than I think we all really expected. But I hope, you know, I hope it drives even further.
Working with PV Heal for us as a police agency is part of our mission and our vision for law enforcement in terms of engaging the community. And PV Heal is perhaps maybe one of the conduits with which we can continue to engage the community or further engage the community.
At the end of the day, when your project is over, it's the empowerment of the community that sustains. And so when we had this critical opportunity to involve young people and college students in implementing our assessment, developing a report, speaking to the issues in that community, that's what made me feel alive. The youth and community adults that participated were extremely insightful and very much into what we had to share with them to really kind of build the capacity of their leadership and their perspective to see how the environment influences or undermines public health and safety. And so to me, that's the most important element of the project, to have that authentic community participation that lives on.
Yeah, it doesn't rip, but we can patch it, and look how beautiful that ends up. Okay, we store that. All of a sudden we have, go ahead and put it up. We have created a very beautiful pattern in a very fast way and direct. Want to make some? You know how to make them now. That's all we're going to do. And what we're going to do is make them, save them, get them ready, and then when we go out there, we're going to look like professionals. And I tell you, there's a lot of boxes out there, but nobody's going to make them like you guys are going to make them. They're going to look absolutely special, and they'll look cool.